Already know. With Mike from Memphis, man. Together, we can fix things. Really?
When you say, I want to be treated fairly, and I want a voice.
Yeah. He saw things weren't fair, so he chose to run for mayor. You get up and do something when you really care. It's Memphis 360.
I'm with you. In the meantime,
It's Memphis 360.
in the meantime, in between time, we got folks shooting people up out the frame. Ain't nobody said a word. We've become accustomed to people dying in this city.
Yeah. It's Memphis 360.
Turning the TV on and the news and see our loved ones and see young people that are out of control. And now see, okay. But we talk about incarceration. We talk about the youth. We talk about giving them the ability. We talk about investing in young people and investing in the community. See, I hate ignorance. I hate when people make decisions about things and they make statements and they haven't done their research.
How can you fix the problem when you don't even know what the problem is?
We need some help in this city.
It's Memphis 360.
See, I hate ignorance.
It's Memphis 360. Man.
And good evening. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Memphis 360, the television show we say we like to go from the boardroom to the streets. In order to fix the issues and all of the things that are going on out here in the streets, we say that those individuals that are in elected positions, those individuals that are the leaders of the city, they have to know what the undercurrent is in this city in order to be able to fix it. You can't just stay in the boardroom all the time and make all of those decisions. And don't get me wrong, you need economic development. You need those strategists. You need those individuals that are going to bring all of those major things to the table to change the landscape of the city, to provide all of those good amenities that we, the citizens of the city of Memphis, the citizens of Shelby County, deserve. But, and I said a long time ago, you can build it, and the old adage is they will come. But see, you can also build it, and if you leave a large segment of the city behind, then they will come and tear it down, or you will not be able to enjoy it. So that's why you have to be able to go into the boardroom, talk to the businessmen in this community, talk to the mayor, the city council, the county commission, those shakers and movers that make it happen. But you also have to be in tune with what's going on out here in the city streets. We have a good show for you tonight. We have Mr. Brian Harris in the studio. He is running for City Council, Super District 8, Position 3. Quite naturally, we had Jared Price in the studio last week, who is also running for the same position, and we had Davin Clements in the studio a couple of weeks prior to that. And Davin still hasn't decided what seat he's running for, whether it's going to be Super District 8, Position 3, or City Council District 6, I believe. But we're going to be bringing those individuals forward and having you, the citizens, have the ability to look at them. Now, the number to call is 901-244-6874, 901-244-6874. And we are live, especially for those of you that are on Facebook. What's up, DeWitt? What's up, Kevin Phillips? What's going on? I just want to talk to you real quick. Jesus, we got a lot of things going on here in the city. We have a missing 4-year-old in the city. And I just saw a news conference that the Memphis Police Department was having, asking for individuals with any information to please come forward to help them to actually locate this little baby. This little baby supposedly has special needs. and she's been gone since early this morning. So if anybody has any information that's dealing with this missing 4-year-old, please get in touch with the Memphis Police Department. I want to talk a little bit about the school board. They've been in the news lately. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to figure this thing out, you know. They had a search. We paid all of this money. We had Mr. George Ray, who was the school superintendent, and he left under whatever conditions. I'm not going to go into all of that. So they're looking for a new school superintendent. Now, I'm going to tell you, I had some issues with the way they allowed Mr. Ray to get out of here because it cost me, the citizens, about $750,000. But that's a whole nother issue, and I will address that some other time. But even in this new search, they hired a search firm. The search firm came up with a couple of candidates. And for some reason, they did not want to deal with those specific individuals. So they went off, they're having these little meetings and all of that kind of stuff. It's getting heated over there because they're putting people out of the school board meetings. And Justin Pearson showed up last week, I believe, and there was a whole lot of controversy about that because he was over there standing up for the rights of those individuals that wanted to be in the school board meetings and voice their opinions in regards to the education and the selection of the new school superintendent. But then I also saw on yesterday morning or the morning, it was either Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, one of them, one of the school board members is resigning, a young lady. And she said, this is like the height of ignorance. That's what she said. I didn't say it. She said it. And she's a school board member. I kind of agree with her because I don't understand it. Because evidently they did a policy change. And the crazy part about it, with a failing school system, and that's what we have in Shelby County. And don't get it twisted, okay? When you talk about you only have about 85 or 15 to 20% of individuals that pass the TCAP and all of that, I understand COVID, I understand we were behind, I understand all of that. But it appears to me that we need an individual that has the ability to lead our school system, turn it into the school system of excellence that it should be for our children because we pay our tax dollars. Everybody shouldn't have to put their child in a private school. They should be able to access the same education that those individuals in the private schools are getting, okay? But what I saw with the policy change, I thought they were going to make it, you know, so that this individual had to have these credentials and they had to have this and they have to have this experience and all of that. But one of the things that caught my eye was they didn't necessarily have to have an educational background. And I'm sitting here going, huh? We're talking about somebody who's going to be school superintendent, somebody who's going to be responsible for educating our children, somebody who we really need to be out there and to put education first. Because see, when I was growing up, grew up in North Memphis, didn't have nothing. We considered ourselves to be poor at the time. Nobody in my family, to my knowledge at that time, had been to or had finished college. But what was stressed was education. Education is the key to success. Education will help you to overcome a lot of the barriers that are put in front of you so that you don't, in fact, have to continue the cycle of poverty. And what I have found is when individuals have a vested interest in the community, a vested interest in the city of Memphis, a vested interest in the success of the city of Memphis, and are a productive part of society, that's when you get the best results. So I couldn't understand how they lowered the standards, in my opinion, of the individual that they are seeking, because now you don't have to have an educational background to be the leader of the educational system. I don't get it. Maybe there's something I'm missing. What about you? Do you understand this? I'm talking to the people on Facebook. Do you guys understand this? Because I don't understand it. And I know a lot of times people say I'm kind of critical and I'm kind of hard. But we cannot keep doing the same thing and expect different results. We have to have new, innovative, creative ideas, individuals that are going to come in and shake it up a little bit. And you, the citizens of the city of Memphis, have to be open to change. We're so locked in on the same people doing the same thing because they got the same name. But my question is, and I'm not going to call any names, are we better off now than we were with the individuals we elected 4 years ago? Be it city council, be it the mayor, be it the county mayor, be it the county commission. And I will give the county commission a pass and the mayor a pass because they just got reelected. But I'm going to tell you, if there are no changes at the end of their terms, get their ass out of there. See, we got to stop this going along with the status quo just because. Oh, they cool. Oh, they your Masonic brother. They AKA. They Deltas. We got a lot of AKAs and Deltas, a lot of Alphas. And I'm not knocking none of the Divine Nine. I'm not knocking them. But see, I was a man before I became a Mason. Being a Mason didn't make me a man. And I said, and most of us in our obligations said we were going to be a positive influence in the community. We're going to help those in destitute. Those individuals that could not do for themselves, could not understand for themselves, we were going to help bring them to the level that they would be able to function and become a positive part of society. We were going to do charitable work in the community. We were going to put those things first. You know, normally it's God, family, organization. That's what I stood up for. I don't know about y'all. Okay? See, that's why I keep telling y'all, a lot of y'all don't want me. You don't want me. You don't want people like me. Because I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm going to hold you responsible just as well as you're going to hold me responsible. And I challenge you to hold me responsible. I always have. Anyway, so I don't understand what's going on with the school board. I hope that they work it out and they work it out for the best, okay? The other thing is I want to talk a little bit about the crime. Wow. You know, on my way to the studio today, I've had some things happen in my life. I'm at a church Sunday preaching a sermon and in Lakeview Gardens, down there off of Horn Lake and Jeter. And at the end of the sermon, they run into the church. 2 individuals have been shot and killed. Yes, the individuals that got shot and killed out there in the backyard in Hickory Hill are related to individuals that I know. The little boy, he was 18 years old. I knew him from the time he was about 5 or 6. The little young lady, I think she was about 15. And both of them got shot repeatedly. I'm talking about over 10 times apiece. Supposedly 4 young men went into the backyard, red hoodies, lit them up. I'm very, very, very close to the grandfather. I can't imagine my 15-year-old daughter being shot in that manner. I can't imagine my 18-year-old grandson being shot in that manner. But these are the type of things that are happening right here in the city of Memphis that are affecting not just you, it's affecting me. It's affecting and touching everybody's family. On the way to the studio tonight, well, this evening, I get a phone call from my sister. They're frantic. My nephew, Kylan, who is working this summer, MAPS, on his way home. Some of you guys are going to hear about it. There was an accident over on Airways. He was thrown from the car. Car landed on him. My nephew. I keep telling you guys about things that are affecting us here in this city. I'm going to thank God he is okay. He's at LeBonner Hospital. His mother, my sister, is with him, and he's recovering. They're running CAT scans, this, that, and the other, but he's coherent, he's talking. That's only by the grace of God, from whom all blessings flow. And don't get it twisted. So I'm going to ask you to pray for my nephew. I'm going to ask you to pray for the young men's and the young girls' families that were killed out there in Hickory Hill. I'm going to ask you to pray for our city. Yeah, because I believe in prayer. I'm going to ask you to pray that this little baby that everybody is looking for, that she is found. That's what we've come to in this city, people. We cannot keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Some drastic things are going to have to occur in this city. Some people wouldn't like it. But if we're ever going to turn this city around, and I always tell you the city of Memphis is worth it, you are worth it, your family is worth it, but nobody's going to come in here and save us. We're the only ones can affect the change in this city. But you got to want it, you got to believe it, and we got to go out and achieve it. But that's us. I want to thank Cassio and Frank Gotti. I heard on the news conference when they were talking to the police, and a lot of people think I'm always at it with the activists. I'm not. I know them. I know Cassio. I know Frank Gotti intimately. He's been on my show several times. I've talked to Frank and had him to work with the police department to do several things. I did, behind the scenes. But I want to thank them because they actually went and got an individual that the police thought was a person of interest and turned them over to the police because they care about this city as well. We all care about this city, and a lot of times we may not care in the same way, shape, form, or fashion, and we all have our lanes. Now, the goal is to get us all going in the same direction. We're never going to agree. Never. Nobody agrees on anything. Man and wife don't agree all the time in their households. But you have to be able to be agreeably disagreeable. And you have to keep working toward building that relationship. And you have to keep working toward trying to make it right. Memphis has so much to offer. And I just hope that we don't give it away. I hope we don't let it get out of our grips and out of control. And even to the business community in this city. I know a lot of times you may not think about a lot of the little people in this city, a lot of the workers in this city, a lot of the indigent in this city. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not asking you to give them handouts and all of this, but I am saying give them a fair shot and an opportunity to make this city what it can be. Because a lot of that you have control over. Let me tell y'all something, people. I don't care what anybody say. There are people behind the scene that pull the strings in this city, if you did not know it. The money brokers in this city, that's what you always hear me refer to them as. And a lot of them don't particularly care for me because I call it the way it is. And they think I don't like them and I'm trying to stop them. But I'm telling you, in order for us to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish in this city, and in order to turn it around, it's going to take the business community. It's going to take the individuals that have worked hard all their lives, slaving and eking out a living so that they can put their kids through college and trying to survive. And those individuals that are out there, and I keep telling y'all, we don't have a lost generation, we have a left generation because we know who they are. They're our nieces and nephews and cousins and Lil Willie that we know from down the street. But we have the ability to do it. We just need a leader that has the ability to galvanize and bring us all together. We need a city council that has the ability to stand up for its constituents for a change and not necessarily everybody that they don't represent. but they need to also incorporate those things that are going to be good for the city while looking out for the best interests of the constituency that they represent. And until you get that, we're going to continue to have the status quo, the same old, same old. All right. Hey, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. That was my little monologue. You know, I have to go off on my rant because I go through so much during the week and I see so many things during the week. And sometimes I just want to reach out and choke somebody. And well, you know how your parents used to do, shake them and try to shake some sense into them. But, you know, got nothing but love for all of you guys. I want to thank everybody that's tuning in. Michael Harris, Jeff Mayer, Ted Stephanie, I see you just popped in, JJ Goods. Man, I love all you guys, and thank you guys so much for all of the support and love that you show me. But guess what? I got Mr. Brian Harris in the studio, and he is running for City Council, Super District 8, Position 3, and he wants to tell you why you should vote for him to be your next representative on the Memphis City Council. We're going to take a real quick commercial break, so don't touch that. Oh, we're going to open up the phone line, so please call in. We're going to take a real quick commercial break. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this.
Father's Day is coming. Celebrate Dad in a big way. Come shop at M&K Men's Fashion. Name brand designer suits are on sale. We have the largest selection of sports jackets, blazers. Dad will be stepping out in style when you shop at M&K Men's Fashion. Ask about our tailors. They are specialists and will customize your outfit just to fit you. M&K with 2 locations in Memphis, I-240 at Perkins, and the Oak Court Mall. And how about our Tupelo, Mississippi locations at Barnes Crossing Mall? Come on over to M&K today. We are that one-stop shop. And you know what? We're making deals every day.
Hey folks, it's Issa Haddad here. I got some good news and a special invitation for you to come see me here at Sunrise Collierville. Come on down, check out my inventory with new, pre-owned, and certified vehicles to choose from. I can get you finance when no one else can. Come on by, bring your family. I treat you like family. Come see me, Issa, here at the #1 dealership in the Mid-South, 4605 Houston Levy Road, Sunrise Collierville. Come on down, check out my inventory with hundreds of vehicles to choose from, pre-owned, new, and certified.
Good news from Sunrise Chevrolet. Get in your new vehicle today. Come on in, ask for Issa. Bankrupt, slow pay, bad credit, it's okay. Let Issa put you in your brand new truck or car today when you shop at Sunrise Chevrolet Collierville.
And don't forget, ask for me, Issa.
Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center? Yes, spacious, beautiful venue with plenty of parking, located in the heart of East Memphis. Let us host your next intimate birthday gathering, family repast, bachelorette party, wedding and reception, baby shower, corporate meeting, social club event. Call us today. Don't wait. 901-244-6874. The all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center.
And good evening. We'd like to welcome you back to Memphis 360, the television show that we say we like to go from the boardroom to the streets. And we always explain that to you. You can't have one without the other. We have to coexist in this city, the boardroom and the individuals that are actually out here making it happen. The people that work in the factories, the people that work for the government, the people that are working out here in the restaurant industry or production or what have you. That makes the world turn, you know, transportation, just all of those individuals. Thank you so much, Laddie Tip. I appreciate it. Lady Tip, pretty Lady Tip. Appreciate it. She put the number up, 901-244-6874. We want you to call in. We got Brian Harris in the studio. Welcome.
I appreciate you, sir.
Hey, it's good to see you again.
Great to be here.
I saw you out there with the good pastor, good doctor, Donald Johnson out there at Oak Grove Baptist Church. You know, y'all was doing your thing. I guess the Deltas have some kind of tour going on. And,
public safety tour.
Public safety tour,
Right.
and they were talking about crime and all of that good stuff. So tell the citizens a little bit. I like to take it slow.
Right.
And we ain't going to be all formal and all of that. But tell the citizens about Brian Harris.
Yes, sir. So good evening, everybody. And first, I want to just offer up just my prayer for your family.
Thank you.
For Kylan. And just our city as a whole.
Right.
Brian Harris, so good evening. I'm a native son of Memphis.
All right.
Born and raised. I grew up in Westwood. And my family, I'm a third generation Memphian. I was educated K through 12 in Memphis City Schools.
Wow.
And I tell you one thing about life, and you talked about it, really resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a story and a journey.
Yeah.
And so my parents, my mother worked for 46 years in Legacy, Shelby County.
Okay.
She retired as a principal in 2017.
Wow.
And my dad worked retail. He worked for Goldsmith's department store
I know
for
Goldsmith.
38 years.
Yeah.
And then he opened his own store, children's clothing store in Whitehaven, and had it for 10 years.
Okay.
So we've all been versed in the community, but you know, I've always worked, and I was always taught to be a servant leader from a very young child, growing up in Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church,
Okay.
Where we still there, and where we always served. And when I was 18, I had a child.
Oh, wow.
And I was a student at Lamont College.
Okay.
And my dad told me that, hey, if you're grown enough to make a child, you're going to take care of him.
Exactly.
And it was tough love, and he told me that he would no longer pay for my school. And so I still went to school, but what I had to do was I had to work full time, and I went to school part time.
There you go.
And I was put on child support as well. And one thing the judge told me, and I'm tying this together about mindset, is that when I went down there, and back then they weren't including the mother's income, strictly father. So at 18 years old, actually 19, I was ordered to pay $503.43
Wow.
as a young college student. And when I told that judge, I said, well, sir, I'm in college. Well, he wasn't a judge, he was a magistrate. I said, I'm in college. I don't care what you're in. He said, drop out. Do what you have to do. You're going to take care of your child.
Take care of this child.
And I said to myself when he said that, I said, I would never be another statistic. So it took me 17 years to get my undergraduate degree in organizational leadership. But then I went back to school 2.5 years ago to complete my executive MBA.
Right.
And the reason why I got that was I always wanted to teach at the collegiate level. Okay. And so I went back to school and got that, and that's one of my goals that I'm going to do as well.
Yeah. I was following you, and I saw it wasn't that long ago.
No, this was May 5th I got that degree.
Exactly.
That's when I graduated. Just did it.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that long ago? I saw when you were actually receiving your bachelor, your master's, and all of that. So, you know, and I tell people all the time, man, it's never too late.
Never too late.
It's never too late.
Right.
And you have to keep pushing.
Absolutely.
You have to keep striving. You know, if you can dream it, you can achieve it.
Absolutely.
You know, it may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, it may be 10 years from now.
Right.
But if you keep working toward that goal, you can do that. And I was talking to a young man down in 201 Poplar, down in the lower level, about that today. He was getting some things straight, and I'm like, dude, don't let me see you back down here.
Absolutely.
Because you have the ability to do whatever it is you need to do. Okay, so what made you want to run for city council?
Well, I tell you, Mike, that's a great question. So for years, everybody always told me, even in the corporate world, the companies I've worked for, they said, man, you need to work and be in politics.
Okay.
He said, you're always advocating for your city. You talk about boardrooms. I've been at a lot of boardrooms where I've had to fight for Memphis because working in the retail industry and senior leadership, there's a thing called shrink, internal and external. And the companies I work for, we've always seen a high level of internal and external.
Okay.
But we were able to course correct that. But I was always advocating for the city.
Right.
Also, a lot of the local politicians and pastors I know also said, Brian, you're so passionate, but not only that, you have a transferable skill set that's needed in city government. And from there, you know, first I was struggling with it. I said, do I really want to step up to that plate and swing that bat?
Yeah.
But when I look at the current slate and state of where we are as a city, we have opportunity and we need help. We need leaders who are compassionate about the city, but not only talk the talk, but walk the walk.
Yeah.
And people who aren't afraid to come out of those boardrooms, who are known in these streets like me,
Come on.
and touch the common man. I always say I believe in pressing the flesh.
Right.
And the best news you get is from the constituents and the people that you're hired to serve. And I've never lost sight of that.
Wow.
And in my professional career, that's what's made me successful.
Okay.
Always being there for the people and never losing sight of the most important person, and that's who you're charged to serve.
Wow, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. You know, we have a lot of intelligent young people in this city. We got so much talent in this city.
We do.
But it is to jump over that fence, because
yeah.
now you open yourself up to the public. Now you
Absolutely.
open yourself up to scrutiny. Now you're taking yourself away from your family. It's
Yeah.
sacrifices that you have to make. And a lot of times, individuals that have the wherewithal and the intestinal fortitude to be able to stand in the gap for those that cannot stand for themselves or represent those individuals, because like you said, you spend a lot of time out here in the community. Tell us about some of the things that you do in the community.
Well, the biggest thing, I look at myself as a multifaceted leader.
Okay.
Is that some people are one-dimensional, but in leadership, there are different focuses you have to have that all point to the common good of the individual. So a lot of things I've done, this is sort of from a child up to now,
Okay.
is that I'm an advocate for our displaced people.
Okay.
Memphis, I don't use the term homeless, I say dishoused or displaced.
Okay.
So we've always had a connection there, because mental health is a real disconnect in our community.
Wow.
That we have to address. The other thing is our young people. I've always advocated for our young people, because I've always had mentors, men and women, who have mentored me,
Right.
that pushed me
Come
to
on.
go forward.
Come on.
And you just gave an example of the young
on.
man at the 201 today.
Yes.
What you said, you sold into him. And so my thing is, whenever you see, and this is an Alex Haley quote, whenever you see a turtle on the fence post, you know he didn't get there by himself. Somebody picked him up
And put him
up there.
Yeah.
And so to me as a leader, that's what I've always done, is from speaking in schools to mentoring young people to helping our elderly, to making sure our elderly have things to eat.
Right.
But to also work in programs where we're building up our young people.
Right.
Because if you think about our target group we have, we've got to reach age really 8 to 21. And we get them and help get them on the right track. Then we can course correct and prevent a lot of issues we're seeing right now.
And that's part of the problem I see, Brian, because I keep saying we don't have a lost generation, because everybody want to say, oh man, we got a lost, man, we done lost a generation. We don't have a lost generation.
That's right.
We have a left generation, because I can remember in my day, even if you were a little wayward or whatever, you always had those men or women in the community that knew your mama, your daddy, your grandmama, your uncle, your cousin, or somebody, and they would snatch you up in a minute.
Absolutely.
Or even if they didn't snatch you up, they sold into you.
Right.
Come here, Mike. Let me talk to you. See, if you keep doing what you're doing, this is what's going to happen.
Correct.
Da 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 da. This, that, and the other. But I find a lot of times now, and I hate it, Brian. I say a lot of times my generation is responsible. And I say my generation is responsible because we were one of the first generations to experience the ability to go to Wake Forest and to go to a lot of the collegiate schools and different things like that. I went to University of Maryland. I went to University of Kentucky, whatever. I had friends that went to Wake Forest, Xavier, this, that, and the other. And what I saw is a lot of us, in our haste to be successful, we were unlike our predecessors, because when we grew up, even though we had successful people in our communities, they stayed in the community.
Stayed in the community.
Because a lot of them didn't have the ability to move out.
Correct.
And then as we came along, a lot of us, we moved out into the suburbs, and we moved out into Collierville, and we moved out into the nicer places because of all of the programs or what have you that was put in place. And we kind of forgot where we came from, or we didn't go back and sow back into that community. So we kind of left a gap. But we, as the individuals that are still in this community, and I still have a little energy left in me, we have to, like when I see people down at 201 Poplar, and half the people are afraid to walk up to them.
Right.
And I can see them looking at me like, oh, here he come, he in a suit, here he go, one of these little bougie,
Right.
And I walk up to him, what's up?
Right. That's
And
it.
they go, what's up, Unc?
Right.
And now we get to talking, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And they see that I have a genuine concern for them, and those barriers come down.
That's right.
And now it's kind of like, ooh, you know, even whether they're going to correct themselves or not, they're always going to have it in their minds that someone stopped.
Absolutely.
And someone took the time to talk to me, to tell me that I could do better.
Right.
Or that there are opportunities available to me, or what have you. Now, anybody that's going to be on the city council, y'all, I always tell you, I'm not supporting them if they don't have a crime plan. Because one of the most prevailing issues in this city is crime. Okay?
Absolutely.
People are dying every day. They steal 6,000 cars or something to that effect already this year. That's astronomical. You're seeing shootings all over the place. Every time you wake up in the morning on the news, somebody has been shot and killed in a car, or somebody has been robbed, or something to that effect. I always say that there has to be a multi-pronged approach to that too. It ain't just police. That's Mike Williams. It ain't just police, but there have to be other things. But how do you see this, Brian? And what is your goal, and how are you going to address the issue of crime for the individuals in Super District 8, Position 3?
That's a great question, Mike. So the first thing that I've done, because I said earlier about transferable skill sets.
Okay.
One thing I did before even deciding to run for office, you always have to have a pulse on the community.
Right.
In the corporate world, we call it listening sessions.
Okay.
Or town halls.
Right.
I've been doing those for a very long time, and you just said it, that the number one thing on everybody's mind in our city is crime. But the biggest thing as a leader, I believe that we just don't treat symptoms, we treat the disease. So let's talk about crime. I think we have to back it up for a second. And think about it this way, is that two components are the parents of crime. Poverty and poor education. Those two things lead to crime.
Yes.
Studies have proven it, and studies have also proven when you invest in those two things, crime is reduced.
Okay.
So the first thing I would say in my crime plan, let me be clear about this, because I had somebody approach me the other day. Okay, what are you going to do about crime?
Right.
Okay, as a city council person, no one person can change the trajectory of an outcome.
Exactly.
It takes 7 people on the city council to move a motion.
Exactly.
So let's be clear about that. But what I would do, as far as my plan, number one, is that we have to assess the way we spend dollars in our city.
Woo!
That's number one, okay? Now, mind you, my undergraduate degree is in organizational leadership. I just got an executive MBA. Look at our current city budget.
Right.
And I'll break this down for you. Our budget right now, and I'm going from my memory, the current budget is about $750 to $755 million.
Correct.
Let's be clear, is that public safety will always be the largest component of that budget.
Correct.
So let's say $300 million for the police department, about $240 for our fire department.
Correct.
Okay, and that's all encompassing, all in.
Right.
And so, but yet we talk about opportunities when it comes to education, which, by the way, the county commission funds education, not the city council.
Correct.
But there are things out there. So let's look at that budget again. So the proposed budget for fiscal year 24 is $794 million.
Okay.
So out of that $794 million, and let's go to this plan, let's look at youth and economic development. In our libraries, out of that budget, only $25 million is going towards libraries. Okay, $47 million is going towards parks. Okay, so if we really want to change the trajectory of our city and reinvest in our community, we need to allocate more funds towards those two things. Okay, and so the other thing too is that people say we got to defund the police. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
I do not believe in
I don't know why people say that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this, Brian, because like you, I was an intel analyst in the Army and all of this stuff, whatever. But when I heard people say that, I had to actually stop and take a look at what they really meant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I get it. I get what they're saying, and a lot of them, some of them are straight up, let's defund the police, get rid of the police. That's stupid as all get out.
Right.
But I do know that some of them are saying we got $300 and some million going toward policing.
Right.
Let's take some of that money and redirect it to somewhere else. So I want to be
that's
fair.
what I'm saying.
I want to be fair. But go ahead.
Right. Yeah, and so that's my point. So when we look at certain things, for example, and I've always said this, and I was in a meeting it was last year with Director Crow.
Okay.
And we were talking about that the Memphis police answered 921,000 calls.
Yes, right at 1 million.
But yet, when you look at the pay of police officers for patrolmen, it's lower than any other municipality.
Yes.
And I know the city council just proposed a 14% increase, which is long overdue. But this is my thing, is that when we look at our problems in our city, is that we have to make sure, number one, that we're holding leadership accountable to representing the people.
Right.
We always have to invest in our infrastructure.
Yes.
But part of our infrastructure is our communities.
Yes.
So I'll give you an example of that. So going back to my point around parks and libraries, if we invested more in programs that help with workforce development, help reinforce what our children learn in schools, keep them off the street,
Right.
that's going to help lower our crime.
Yes.
But something you said earlier I want to go back and touch on is that I also challenge our churches.
Come on.
We have more black churches in Memphis than we got gas stations, okay? And that's a fact. But when we look at it, how can we also have better partnerships with our churches? And there are a lot of them out there doing great work, so let me be clear.
Yeah.
But how do we take funding as well to get the churches to step up? Because one thing you said earlier was old school thinking, but old school can still be new school.
Yes.
As far as we engage with our youth and people. And so one of the things that I propose is that, going back to what I said, allocate those funds to strengthen our libraries and our public services when it comes to our services and work development.
Right.
And that's a key component to crime. So let's talk about the other part of crime when it comes to policing. I am for community policing, but I'm also for making sure that we revisit our police strategies on a more frequent basis. It should not take an unfortunate event to make us go back and look at policies.
Right.
In the corporate business world, we review policies and procedures quarterly to make sure we're on par with other organizations and to make sure we're aligned. So I think that's part of it as well. And the last piece of it is that, you know, when it comes to policing, one thing when I grew up, I knew our police officers by name in Westwood.
Right.
And they always interacted with our elderly, our young people. If they saw us, they had a relationship with us. And one of the theories I'm very versed in is the Rice theory. And it's a business term and also educational term. And the first R is the same in both of them, and it's relationships.
Relationships.
When you build relationships and people know you're approachable and you're coming from an authentic place,
Right.
they respond well.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to do. And of course, on my website, there's more details about the plan. But I think that's the first step, is how we look at the budgets, how we allocate the funding, and make sure that we have dollars not just invested in downtown and midtown, but it flows into our community.
Better stop. Hey, the number to call is 901-244-6874. 901-244-6874. If you got any questions for Mr. Brian Harris, who is running for City Council, Super District 8, Position 3. We got him in the studio. This is your opportunity to be able to ask him any question that you want to ask him at this time. Now, I know, normally with mine, once I post it up all over the place, everybody's going to go back and look at it or what have you. So if they have any questions for you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, two ways. I'll give you my personal cell phone number, area code 901-653-6034. And one thing about me, I'm accessible. The next thing you can reach me is my website, and it's brianformemphis.com. But you can call me, text me, and anybody who knows me knows that you're going to get a hit back. I don't run from it, I run to it. And I'll make sure that we connect with your concerns.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that a lot of the things you just said, I can definitely line up with. I was a part of community policing because I was on the police department for a long time. As a matter of fact, I was a part of Westwood COAC when I first came on. I didn't stay there very long. It was part of my initial training to work out there with Van Buren and Latanya Abel and what was his name? Was it Moore? Yeah, Seymour. And all of those guys. I had the ability to work out there with them, and that's when that's how I picked up some of my policing skills, because eventually I ended up, after my probationary period, over in Orange Mound. But even the Graceland COAC over there and the Orange Mound COAC over there, those guys were doing outstanding, amazing work, because they had built relationships in the community.
Absolutely.
And individuals that had problems, or young people even knew if it was something brewing in the community, they could go to those officers and let them know, and then you could be proactive as opposed to reactive. Because I believe the police department has actually been relegated to a reactive force as opposed to a proactive entity that is being utilized to attack the crime in this city. And yes, the incident with Mr. Tyree Nichols was so unfortunate, something that nobody wanted to happen. But I'm going to tell you from my personal experience, prior to that, you didn't really have things like that have happened, especially with all of the crime that has occurred in this city. Me personally, I'm glad that they handled that swiftly.
Yeah. I'm
glad that those individuals, I don't wish anything bad upon anybody, but if you put yourself out there, you got to deal with it. And I don't care who you are, you have to be held responsible for what you do, because no innocent citizen in this city should lose their lives at the hands of public safety individuals, especially in that manner, because I didn't see anything so egregious that individual should have lost his life in that manner. And that's just Mike Williams talking. I'm not talking from the police association perspective or the police department's perspective, but that's Mike Williams, the citizen. I didn't like it, and I spoke out about it in any other incident that happened in regards to that. So what are your plans? So you out here on the campaign trail, you out here pounding the pavement, pressing flesh, all that kind of stuff. So are you going to any events in the very near future? What are you doing?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of events. So, and running for office, you're always running.
Yeah.
And so we're all over the place, all over the city. And one thing I've made a point to do is that make sure we have a presence in the community.
Okay.
And so there are a lot of events coming up this weekend that we'll be present in, and also on the 24th. We're doing our campaign, we're doing block parties.
Okay.
So one of the things you talked about earlier was something that I did in Douglas. I fed the community along with a local black business called JJ Soul Food.
Okay.
And so how that came about, and I'll tell this story quickly. I came in there and I had just spoke at Douglas High School for their honors program. I was their keynote speaker.
Right.
So let me grab me something to eat. I said, what's a good place over here? I was talking to the assistant principal. She said, go to JJ's. I said, I know a blue building over there.
Right.
So when I walk in, the owner said, hey, I know you. You running for something. I said, yeah, I'm running for city council. And she said to me, she said, you just have a good spirit, and I would like to offer up my place to you to host something.
Wow.
And I said, wow. So I received that, and I'm honored. But I'm an advocate for black businesses because my dad had one. And he taught us to always support our local black businesses and other businesses as well.
Right.
So anyway, I said, I'll sow a seed into your business because I want to feed the community. She said, I'll match it. Don't you know that Saturday we fed 250 people in Douglas.
Look at that.
And what we did, I'm not talking a select menu, it was a full menu. And I said, but before we open up to the public, let's get the list of the elderly who need plates.
Okay.
And so what I did was, she had the master list, the names are written on the boxes, and my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, I got those brothers out and we delivered in the community. And so when those people saw that and we talked and talked about what they wanted to hear, they said, you're one of the first aspiring politicians to do this. And they said, when you get elected, don't you forget about us.
Yes.
And I said, I promise you, I won't forget about you because I can't.
Yeah.
Because I want you to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm here.
And for me, Brian, that's the problem. A lot of guys, they get out here and they press the flesh, and I'm not talking about you. They get out here and they press the flesh and they try to impress people. They don't even go to the extent that you just did in the Douglas community, but they try to garner the support of the citizens and win their trust and all of this kind of stuff. And they go in there and they press the lever for Mike Williams or whomever the individual is, and then all of a sudden, they don't answer the phone.
Right.
They're inaccessible.
Correct.
Now I'm on the city council, or I'm on the county commission, or I'm whoever. You get in the elevator in a government building and you don't even speak to the people that's in the elevator.
Right. And see, but that's the thing, and you said this earlier, and I want to touch on this briefly, is that you talked about people forgetting where they come from.
Right.
There's a book written in 1908 by Dr. W.E. Du Bois called The Talented Tenth. And it talks about those who go off and ascend to different heights. You have an obligation to go back and reach and get people.
Okay.
We've forgotten that.
Yeah.
It's like we live in this world that I get mine, you get yours.
Yeah.
No, and I heard somebody say that my right hand should always be stronger than my left because I'm going back pulling somebody else up to be with me.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing about this campaign is that, you know, I've been in this city for 45 years all my life.
Okay.
I live in the city of Memphis.
Right.
I'm vested in the city of Memphis. And like I'm on the alcohol commission. I don't walk around saying I'm Commissioner Harris. I'm Brian Harris.
Right.
I'm for you, I'm with you. And again, you can look at my track record over the years. It just didn't start the last two. I've been out here on this battlefield. And I promise if I'm elected and when I am, you're gonna see a difference because I'm a fighter and I don't back down.
Brian said when he's elected. Hey, on Facebook, Tim P.T. Jones said he is telling the truth.
Tim.
Yeah. He said Brian is telling the truth. Must be one of your frat brothers.
No, he's not a frat. Let me tell you.
I'm just messing with you, Brian.
Tim is a good brother. He's out here, a community advocate,
Yeah.
who's doing the work, who's seen the work.
Yeah.
And a lot of respect for that brother.
Yeah.
And he knows I speak the truth.
I've seen Tim around. Actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's why
You know
I'm just
Tim,
messing with you. Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you, man, we got a lot of good people, you know, and I'm one of these people that, and I told Brian when I called him, I let him know I had Jared on here. I let him know I had Davin on here because all these guys, I know them. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to make sure, and I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. Right. That's not what I'm doing. But I want to make sure that I avail them to the community. I have a little platform. Don't nobody pay nothing to come on this show. I've never tried to charge anybody anything. I pay for it out of my pocket, but it's my way of staying in touch with the community and trying to make sure that the individuals within my little realm of reach have the ability to be able to actually talk to these individuals or at least hear them. Because they're out there in the community and they're all over the place. But I'm going to tell you, social media has so much power.
Absolutely.
It has so much power that, I was looking at Clemens's interview. I think he's a couple of thousand people have looked at it. No, I'm not a Thaddeus Matthews. I don't get 14, 15, 16,000, but that ain't where God put me. Okay, God put me in a place to whereas I can reach certain individuals that have the ability to actually vote and are concerned and interested in what's going on in their realm of responsibility. So I want to definitely avail my little platform to those individuals. And you're going to see it's going to be people that are going to be running for the same office. And it's like, Michael, how can you do that? That's what God gave me. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yeah. To avail myself in this little platform to individuals that are out here working in the community. Guess what? Davin, I know he does things in the community. Jared, I know he does things in the community. Brian, I know he does things in the community. I'm gonna have a couple of other people that are running for the same offices, and I know they are doing things for the community. But it's up to you to make the decision about the individuals that you're going to vote for. And that's what I love about America, and that's what I love about the democratic process. Mm-hmm. You have the ability to choose individuals that you feel are going to be the best fit for you. So we talked about the crime plan. We talked about the things that you're out here doing in the community. We talked about, a little bit about Brian. He grew up in Westwood, and he's doing all of these great and wonderful things in the community. And it's not something that he's just talking about, just like Tim P.T. Jones is saying. I've been tracking Brian for a long time. And all of these things that he's telling you that he has done in the community, he's done them. Those things that he's doing them in the community. So I can definitely vouch for those things that he is saying that he is out here doing in the community, just like I vouch for some of those other individuals and what they're out here doing in the community. But I always tell people just like this, I give anybody a chance. I welcome new leadership. I welcome creativity. I welcome all of those individuals. But at the same time, like I tell everybody, you got to do what you're supposed to do as citizens of this city. And that's to hold your elected officials accountable. There used to be a time, Brian, when we could put 10,000 people in the streets of the city of Memphis if they didn't agree with something or if they thought that they were being disparagingly treated.
Right,
Oh,
that's right.
We got a call. Osceola, hold on. Go ahead, caller. You're on Memphis 360.
How you doing today? My name's Carl. I called in last time you had that old senator boy running there.
Yes, sir. How are you, Carl?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Blessed. Can't complain. What's going on?
I called in to say I just really appreciate you old boys out there, you know, spreading the word of the Lord,
Okay.
Jesus Christ and all that.
Okay. Okay.
And, you know, you're helping the souls there of other people who wouldn't get in it.
Okay. You got anything for Brian? Because we got about a minute.
All right, yeah, well, Brian, he's a pastor there, right?
No, I'm not a pastor.
No, he's not a pastor.
All right, well, whatever you're doing in life there, Brian, I hope that everything goes well for you and you just keep living up to that word of the Lord.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I appreciate that and I
All right,
received
then.
that.
Okay, thank you so much, Carl. All right. Man, Carl called in last week too, boy, and Carl threw me off, I'm gonna tell you. I thought Carl was gonna go in last week, but Carl, you know, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely,
I'm
you
telling you, God uses people in all different kind of shapes, forms, fashions, and all kinds of manner and ways in life. Okay, we got about a minute, Brian, but I want you to real quickly tell these individuals why should they vote for Brian Harris?
The reason you should vote for me is that if you want a leader who has a proven track record, who has a transferable skill set that has been proven, that shows that the number one person I work for is you. And that's in everything I do. Is that if you look at the current trajectory of our city is the city of 4 R's. I always say river, road, runway, and rail. But that flow has to flow back to the community. And that's one thing I'm for, is that I'm from the community, of the people, from the people. And I promise you is that I will never lose insight of who our number one person is, and that's you. And you hear that rhetoric a lot of times, but one thing I say, fact check me and know that I'm here for you. And if you want to see change in Super District 8-3, which is the majority of the city, we need people that are going to fight for you, not be afraid to come see you, and they're going to answer their phone and come when you call.
Okay.
And that's why I want you to vote
And
for
real
me.
quick, if they want to get a hold of Brian Harris, how do they do that?
Again, my cell number 901-653-6034, or go to Brian for Memphis, and you can reach out to me and see where we'll be, what we're doing in the community, and would love to have you join our campaign.
Hey, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in once again to Memphis 360. I want to continue to ask you to pray for the city of Memphis. Pray for those individuals that are being affected. Pray for those individuals that are out there homeless, that don't have food to eat. I mean, there is such a need here in the city of Memphis. I want you to actually just stop for a minute and just be thankful for what you have and where you are and how God continuously bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Memphis 360. Once again, it has been a plum-pleasing pleasure. So until next week, same time, same location. Be blessed, be strong, be encouraged, and we'll see you next week.
Father's Day is coming. Celebrate Dad in a big way. Come shop at M&K Men's Fashion. Name brand designer suits are on sale. We have the largest selection of sports jackets, blazers. Dad will be stepping out in style when you shop at M&K